Is there a secret map that shows which states are heading for a blackout? A list tucked away in a FEMA vault? No. But what if I told you that you could piece that map together for yourself? It isn't a physical document, but something far more revealing, built from the US government's own data. Reports from the Department of Energy and grid reliability organizations are painting a grim picture of the near future. Today, we're looking at the data that creates this risk map and showing you why the lights are in danger of going out. The problem: a looming deficit. We all share a comfortable illusion. Flip a switch, and the lights turn on. Always. But that illusion is starting to crack. The heart of the problem is a collision between two powerful forces: our skyrocketing demand for electricity and the rapid retirement of the power plants we've always relied on. Thanks in large part to the explosion of new AI data centers, the U.S. is projected to need an additional 100 gigawatts of power by 2030. That's like adding the entire power consumption of dozens of major cities to our grid in just a few short years. At the same time our hunger for power is growing, our ability to generate it 24/7 is shrinking. By that same 2030 deadline, a staggering 104 gigawatts of firm, dispatchable power from coal, natural gas, and nuclear plants are projected to be taken offline. These are the sources that work rain or shine. We're removing more reliable power than the total new demand we're adding, creating a deficit that threatens to leave millions in the dark. This isn't just a simple math problem, it's a recipe for serious vulnerability. Officials might point out that 209 gigawatts of new generation are planned, but they often bury the most important detail. Only 22 of those gigawatts come from firm, reliable sources. The rest is intermittent, depending on the sun to shine or the wind to blow. This creates a massive reliability gap. This is why a recent Department of Energy report contains a truly terrifying projection. Let me be clear, this is a worst-case but increasingly plausible scenario. Annual outage hours for at-risk regions could increase by 100 times. Let that sink in. We're not talking about a quick flicker during a storm. We're talking about a potential leap from just a few outage hours per year to over 800 hours. That's the equivalent of 34 full days without electricity for Americans in these vulnerable zones. And this isn't some distant fantasy. The North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, has already flagged huge portions of the country as being at elevated or high risk of energy shortfalls. The entire MISO territory, which covers the Midwest from Minnesota down to Louisiana, is listed at high risk for shortfalls, with risks beginning as early as 2025. Regions like Texas, which has already suffered a historic grid collapse, along with the Southeast and Pacific Northwest, are all facing this crisis, where extreme weather could turn a strained grid into a failed one. The pivot: taking back control. This data isn't just a warning, it's a blueprint for resilience. A systemic strain on the grid doesn't have to mean a personal crisis for you. Understanding the timeline and the risks gives you the power to make their problem irrelevant to you and your family. This isn't about fear, it's about creating a strategic counterplan. The solution: the counterplan. Making the grid's potential failures irrelevant starts with a few logical steps focused on what you can control. First, water security. When the power goes out for an extended period, municipal water pumps can stop. You need a supply of stored water, at least 1 gallon per person per day, and a reliable, non-electric water filter. Second, independent power. This can range from a full solar and battery system to a simple gas generator. At a minimum, think about portable power banks and a small solar charger to keep communication devices and flashlights running. Third, a 30-day food supply. Your plan has to include non-perishable foods that require no cooking or refrigeration. When the grid is down for weeks, you can't count on grocery stores. This supply is your lifeline. Fourth, information. A prolonged, widespread outage could disrupt internet and cell service. A hand crank or battery-powered emergency radio isn't a relic. It will be your only connection to critical information from authorities. The data isn't a prophecy. It's a forecast based on undeniable trends published by the government's own agencies. The power plant retirements are accelerating, the demand from new technologies is surging, and the 2030s are approaching fast. The question is no longer if the grid will be tested in ways we've never seen before, but whether you'll be ready when it is. Now that you've seen the data behind the map, will you be on the right side of a blackout?